Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping straight into a story today that is, honestly, it's pretty unbelievable. We're breaking down a gripping, deeply emotional narrative that perfectly captures the unseen, long-lasting ripple effects of our everyday actions. Kindness isn't just a fleeting moment. It's an investment that can literally span decades and completely alter the course of multiple lives. If you've ever wondered if your good deeds actually matter in the grand scheme of things, well, buckle up, because this explainer is going to show you exactly why they do. So, picture this. You're entirely alone, dead of night, just minding your own business, and a complete stranger speaks out of the shadows and says your name. I mean, what goes through your head? Is it a threat? A mistake? This is the exact scenario our subject, Jake, found himself in. It's a tense, late-night mystery that is about to turn his entire world upside down.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, the midnight encounter. The setting here is incredibly relatable. It's 11:47 p.m. Jake pulls into this empty gas station on the edge of town. We've all been there, right? You've got the harsh glare of the fluorescent lights, the sheer exhaustion after pulling a brutal, long shift. All Jake wants to do is pay, get back in his car, and go home to sleep. He's literally just reaching for his wallet when an old man sitting near the entrance suddenly looks right at him and says, "Jake?" Jake freezes. He asks the guy, "Do I know you?" The old man slowly stands up, looks him dead in the eye, and says, "No, but your father knew me." I want you to really think about the sheer shock of that moment. This is a complete stranger, seemingly appearing out of thin air in an empty parking lot, who suddenly connects himself to Jake's deeply personal, heavily guarded past. The tension here is palpable. Jake's defense mechanisms are instantly up, but his curiosity is totally piqued. Now, for some context, 10 years ago, Jake's father passed away. For a whole decade, that book has been closed. Jake moved on, processed his grief, and just lived his life. But tonight, at exactly 11:47 p.m., a total stranger brings him up. This man is essentially delivering a literal message from the dead. Jake's immediate reaction is pure disbelief. He just stammers out, "What did you just say?" Which brings us to part 2, a message from Dad. The old man reaches into his jacket and pulls out this small, worn envelope. He tells Jake, "Your dad asked me to give you this when you were ready." Imagine Jake's hands literally shaking as he takes it. Written right there on the paper is his own name, in his father's unmistakable handwriting he hasn't seen fresh in 10 years. It's an impossible delivery. Inside, he finds a single photograph of himself as a little boy and a folded note. Jake unfolds the note, and it reads, "Son, if you're reading this, I couldn't tell you everything while I was alive, but there is something I need you to know." Just pause for a second and feel the weight of that. A posthumous letter from a parent confessing that they harbored a massive secret for their entire life. Jake looks up from the letter, utterly bewildered, and asks the stranger the only question that makes sense at this point. "Who are you?" All right, let's unpack that in part 3, the secret rescue. So the old man takes a deep breath and lays out this secret history that Jake's dad had hidden from him all those years ago. Turns out he was actually Jake's father's best friend. Years ago, Jake's dad had secretly stepped in and saved this man's life after a terrible accident. But the story didn't end there. The old man explains that he had spent the subsequent years trying to repay that massive, life-altering kindness. He had been on this lifelong quest to basically balance the scales of a debt he felt he owed to Jake's father. And that leads us to the climax here, part 4, the ultimate favor. The old man tells Jake he has one final favor to ask. His granddaughter desperately needs a kidney transplant. He explains that Jake's father once made him a profound promise. He told him that if his family ever needed help, he should never, ever hesitate to ask. And now, 10 years after Jake's father has passed, the old man is cashing in that promise to save his granddaughter's life. Jake looks down at the childhood photograph his dad left him. He's just flooded with memories and the sheer overwhelming weight of this intense, life-altering request. I mean, how do you even process a stranger asking you for an organ in a gas station parking lot at midnight? Jake takes a deep breath and says, "I don't know if I can help." It's a completely natural human reaction, right? Doubting your own capacity to fulfill such a massive request. But then, the old man smiles, and he says, "You already did." Now Jake is standing there confused, wondering how he could have possibly already helped a girl he didn't even know existed. But get this. The wheels of his father's legacy were already in motion without Jake even realizing it. Here's how the realization hits him step by step. First, the old man hands Jake another piece of paper. It's a hospital test result from some routine blood work Jake had submitted years prior. The conclusion? Jake is a perfect match. The old man didn't track him down to beg him to get tested. He tracked him down to tell him it was already meant to be. The paperwork was already done. Let's jump forward a bit for part 5, the legacy of kindness. Picture this. It's a few months later, and Jake is standing outside a bright, warm hospital room. Inside, the little girl slowly opens her eyes. The surgery was a total success. The grandfather walks out into the hallway, pulls Jake into a deep, tearful embrace, and whispers, "Your father would be proud." Jake just smiles through his own tears. It's this incredibly beautiful, full-circle moment where the past and the present meet to create a literal future for this young girl. So, the crucial point here is what happens next. Standing in that hospital, Jake suddenly remembers his father's favorite words, "Always leave someone better than you found them." It wasn't just some catchy phrase for his dad. It was a total blueprint for living. His father lived it by secretly saving his best friend, and now Jake was living it by saving that friend's granddaughter. And that brings us to the core takeaway of our explainer today. Consider this for a second. Sometimes the people we lose leave behind so much more than just memories. They leave behind a blueprint, a reason to keep their kindness alive and active in the world. Jake finally understood what his father meant. One single good deed, a rescue years ago, traveled like wildfire across a decade, through a worn envelope, across a midnight parking lot, and right into a hospital room to save a child's life. Which leaves us with a final, vital question today. Who will you leave better than you found them? You may never know how far a simple act of kindness will travel or whose life it might save a decade from now. But you hold the power to start that ripple effect right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I challenge you to go out and make your own ripple. See you next time.